waste my time at all. We are here for one reason, and I believe that there are some few questions right after the presentations which the media would like to ask. So, by way of the ground rules, like I have announced earlier, we have a microphone here, so right after the presentation, we'll take a brief remarks from NADMO, and then the media, you can ask your questions. But please, as a matter of, I don't know how to put it, but I just want to plead with you. There's a lot of pressure, and right after this press conference, the executives are moving into another meeting. So please, don't give us loaded questions, at least one. If you don't have a question and you think right after you want some clarity, we'll be very glad, because we want this section to be as brief as possible so that we can go on with other equally important duties. Thank you very much. So at this juncture, I want to hand over the microphone to our Deputy Chief Executive in charge of Services, Engineer Ken Atta.
Hello. Thank you, Lawrence. So, management and staff of Volta River Authority and our friends from the media, good afternoon to all of you. So, as has been stated already, we are here to have a press briefing on the current state of the Akosombo Dam Spillage. And I'll take the statement, as written and presented to you. The Volta River Authority was compelled to commence controlled spillage of the excess inflows into the Akosombo and Pong hydroelectric dams on September 15, 2023. And this was initially within the various graduated stages of the Emergency Preparedness Plan Phase 1 spillage rate. On the 9th of October 2023, the spill rate was increased to Phase 2 due to the persistent rainfall which resulted in continuous rise of the water levels in the Akosombo Dam. This event, which was unforeseeable and unavoidable, was carried out in accordance with statutes and all regulatory requirements. As a result of this, flooding has been encountered in several communities within parts of the Volta, Greater Accra, and Eastern regions. The districts affected include North Tong, Central Tong, South Tong, Anlong, and Keta municipality in the Volta region. The rest are Ishejaman and Lower Manya Krobo in the Eastern region, and Shai Osudoku and Ada East in the Greater Accra region, with Mepe Township in the North Tong as the West community that has been hit. VRA empathizes with all the affected persons and is unwavering in its commitment to work with NADMO and all relevant agencies to bring relief and assistance for restoration to normalcy. VRA has deployed an all-hands-on-deck approach, and in collaboration with NADMO, the various district assemblies, and other related security and emergency services, working round the clock to ensure the protection of lives and livelihoods in those affected areas, through the evacuation of victims to designated safe havens. It is gratifying to note that no life has been lost in this emergency situation. As we speak now, current figures collated by NADMO stands at about 36,000 people who have been affected so far. Under the leadership of our Chief Executive, Mr. Emmanuel Epidakwa, we have deployed our Emergency Preparedness Unit, the Community Relations Unit, the Environment and Sustainable Development Team, the VRA hospital team, VRA security section, and others to the affected communities. And we are literally living among them in their respective communities to experience their issues at first hand and provide real-time support. We have since then intensified efforts to alleviate the pain and discomfort of the affected people in this rather difficult situation. Acknowledging the many challenges facing the affected communities, VRA and the entire relief team is engaged in regular supply of food items such as rice, maize, beans, gari, sugar, mackerel, cooking oil, palm oil, tomato paste, granuts, biscuits, fruit juice, powdered milk, and potable drinking water. Other non-food relief items include mosquito repellent creams, mosquito nets, blankets, mattresses, solar-powered lanterns with telephone charging facilities, sanitary items, and many more. The VRA has also carried out the following activities as part of the humanitarian efforts. We've deployed water tankers to consistently make water available to the affected communities, provided medical items to personnel to screen and administer medical treatment to the emerging health issues. We have provided bus, trucks, and pickup vehicles to assist in the internal transportation of both goods and affected people. We have restored the damaged water treatment supply pumps in Aveime. VRA has also installed a portable water treatment system at the St. Kizito School Safe Haven in Mepe. With the support of Ministry of Energy, VRA has distributed 5,000 solar lamps to the safe havens. Working together with ECG, power has been restored to the St. Kizito Safe Haven in Mepe. Zoom Lion has also been contracted to provide mobile toilets, and they are going to service them and also provide sanitary services at the safe havens. An access road has also been created in Mepe to the St. Kizito Safe Haven so as to avoid crossing the inundated road by boat. VRA is also assisting the Navy and some local indigenes at Sogakope to clear the bridge, to clear weeds under the Sogakope Bridge, which impedes flow of the water into the ocean. VRA has also committed 20 million Ghana cedis towards alleviating the adverse impact on the affected communities as a result of the unavoidable spillage of excess inflow into the Akosombo Dam. We wish to assure the public that VRA will continue to monitor the situation and provide the needed support together with NADMO and the other relevant agencies to ensure the well-being of the affected community. The authority reiterates that no one will be left behind in this emergency situation. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. So before the questions will come, we want to hear also from the Public Relations Officer for NADMO, Mr. George AEC. He will just give us remarks and then you take the questions.
Well, thank you, Deputy CEO. Thank you, MC, and all. I will start by saying, on behalf of my Director General, the Honorable Nana Ajiman Prempe, We are grateful to the VRA for this collaborative efforts to help our people who have been affected downstream the Akosombo Dam. So far, NADMO really appreciates the contributions and efforts of VRA because otherwise there would have been some difficult challenges that we would have encountered as emergency response agency, looking at the magnitude of the effect of the people downstream. So VRA, we are grateful. It's been challenging, and we see the efforts he put in. The two deputy CEOs, the Honorable Kenata and the Honorable Kenzo, have all played integral parts. And from the get-go, the simulation collaborations we did, exercised down hustle, that actually got the people well informed, even though they disbelieved what we were saying, but they got them prepared for this occurrence. Hence, the statement by the Deputy CEO that there's not been any record of fatality as of now. That is a good effort that we have done. Going forward, we get questions. I know the media, they're going to pose some of the questions to you on Engineer Kenata. Some as to when the end is coming. Some ask me, is there a way that NADMO can pump the water away? I have responded that if it were ordinary flats, we would have been able to do that. But if you were to go to the place and you expect us to pump that water away, is something that. But one key thing that I've been asked, which I think I should put before you, engineer, and your team, is the way forward. Are we going to have another water retention area downstream the Akosombo Dam going into the future? Lakpon Dam is supposed to be a retention point, which maybe you're using for power generation. Are we going to have another one so that in case of this, there's going to be a collection point, and then the effect wouldn't be as dire as we're experiencing today? Maybe the engineers and other people of VRE will respond to that. NADMO, we are ready to continue with this support and collaboration as a disaster response agency, and not NADMO alone. We are a coordinating agency, as engineer said. We are working in partnership with all the respondent agencies, the Ghana Navy, the 48 engineers, the Ghana Police, Ghana Fire Service, Ambulance Service, the Ghana Health Service, and all of them. We are in there doing all we can to ensure that the people are safe. Last one. We're grateful to the individuals and NGOs and organizations that have seen the need to support our brothers and sisters that have been caught up in this situation. And the support is overwhelming. We are grateful that you're supporting. The state is doing its work. VRA is doing a lot. 20 million commitment plus other things. We will need more. If you're still there, Oliver Twist, let's come and support our brothers and sisters in these 9 districts that have been affected. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. AC. It's now time for Q&A. So if you raise your hand and if you are seated, you can just rise and come to where the microphone is, as we have established. So please, if you have a question, raise your hand and then, okay, so we have Daily Graphic. So you can please introduce yourself, which media house you're coming from, and then you can post your question.
Thank you. My name is Emmanuel from the Daily Graphic. First of all, I want to find out what is the state of spillage, and is the water in the reservoir, is it coming down and to a level that is desirable? And then we also want to find out when is the spillage likely to end. Any idea?
All right, thank you very much. But once again, let me just remind the media, if you can keep your questions 1 each, please, and don't load them. Thank you.
All right, my name is Carlos Caloni from Joy News. So far, we want to know how much the VRA has spent in terms of money And how is this affecting the company? This cost, are you sharing with any other agency, or you are going to pay it alone? Last question.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Joy, thank you so much. Okay, so please come.
Thank you. My name is John Awuli. Last week I was in Nefe.
Please, which media house are you coming from?
Keswick Television. I had the privilege of visiting the place, and then one of the issues that were raised was that previously there was an agreement to dredge some parts of the tributaries of the dam, and the issues went to court, and that even accounted for the devastating nature of the flood. So is that an issue that VRA considered dredging before the issues went to court that did not allow the dredging to happen, and now the devastation is so huge? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll take the last one, and then we'll take the responses, and then so we'll come to the final round. Don't worry. So please go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Nana Yawasante. So if I really want to find out from you where this flood has, as it were, moved people from their houses. When the water subsides, are they coming back, or we are relocating them? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll move to the high table, and then we'll get the responses. And right after, we'll take the next set.
Okay, thank you very much. So I will take some of the questions, and since we have, some of the management personnel here, they can also come in and throw more light on, the issues as it is. So, what is the state of the spillage, and whether the level is coming down? Well, let me start by saying that I will cautiously say that at this point in time, we would expect a decline or the water level to recede. From the data that we have gathered so far, there are indications that the water level might have started to recede. It is early days. I cannot confirm when the spillage would stop, but then there are clear signs that the water is receding. So this is what I can say. Your second question is that when is it going to end? And as I'm saying, I'll cautiously confirm that the water level is behaving as usual as this season. It's receding, but it's early days. We need to watch it for some time. How much is VRA spending? We have the exchequer here. So, Dr. T.
Thank you. I think in the briefing, the Deputy Chief Services did indicate that VRA has committed to an amount of 20 million to be used to handle this. I must say that since the spillage started, there has been calls for procurement of things, and so it is something that is ongoing. But at the last count, I think we've spent about 9 million cedis towards the procurement of food items and all the things that has been done so far as was enumerated. But in total, VRA is committed to spending an amount of 20 million cedis towards making lives comfortable for the people affected by the floods. Thank you. There was a question on whether what we settled. That's something that I have.
Right. So the next question
is on dredging.
Is on dredging, yes. So VRA has been carrying out dredging operations at the estuary over the past years. And our dredger is now aged. So there was a strategy to contract the dredging activity to a private company. VRA went through all the processes and was able to select a company. However, when they came in, I think the community had a misconception about what the operations were going to be. So there was an injunction placed on the dredging activities, which went to court and then later was resolved. In fact, the issue was to be taken out of court and then discussed amicably. Yes, if the dredging operation, were to be continuous, definitely it would also aid in draining the water downstream into the ocean. But mind you, this particular incident coincided with high tides, and anytime there is high tide, the river flowing into the ocean or the sea is also impeded. So yes, I will say that of course there was some, net effect. If the pathways were fully dredged, then at low tides you could have a lot of water going into the sea. But that is not to say that the amount of flood or the inflows into the lake, for that matter how much we had to spill, if you consider that, I think the dredging would have also helped, but in these circumstances would have still seen, this magnitude of flood that is associated with this year's dam spillage. The issue of relocation of the flood victims, I think this is a bigger discussion that must be taken on national level. It's come up several times. What I say is that at this point in time, VRA is focused on the humanitarian efforts to ensure that we safeguard life in this emergency. Definitely, when this storm is over, lessons learned, will be conducted, and then there will be bigger discussions in higher forums to see the way forward. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. Before we move to the next round of questions, Chief, we have some few slides just by way of evidence as to some of the things that you have touched on. And if the media house, for those of you who want the pictures, we can share with you, and the videos, just by way of evidence. These are some of the humanitarian effort that we have put in place. These are pictures that have been taken from various communities in the 6 affected districts. So we'll just do it quick, and then we'll take the second round. So if you want the pictures, you want the videos just as part of your story, we are more than willing to share them with you, because we believe that the public needs to know what efforts we are also putting in to ensure that the people's lives are protected. Thank you. So, we're done. For those of you who know VRA staff, you realize that quite almost all the top management, day in, day out, they are in the communities out there. And I was so happy to hear that there are people who are living with them even at the safe havens. Some, of course, some are also living in some hotels around. And every day when they woke up, that is what they actually do. So thank you very much. And we'll move to the next round of questions. Thank you. Thank you. So, GTV.
My name is Dominic Ronji. I work with GBC. There have been complaints upstream where the water is before you are spilling. They are also complaining that they have issues. and I've realized that concentration is downstream. What is happening regarding those upstream? Also,
thank you.
Government has set up the Inter-Ministerial Committee. What has been the engagement so far with the authority relating to what we are experiencing? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm Vice President the person for the daily statement. I would like to find out so far the number of medical relief items that have been supplied to the affected communities.
Thank you. Any other? Any other question from the media? Joy wants to come again. So this will be our final question, and then I'm sure once we take the responses, then we can wrap up.
So looking at the volume of the flood waters, a lot of concerns have been raised as to whether VRA got it right in terms of estimating the level of devastation we are seeing. Some believe that VRA actually failed to do its job. How do you respond to that?
Thank you, Carlos. We'll move to the table, the high table, to give us the responses, please.
Thank you very much. So, complaints about upstream. You are very right. The upstream is also experiencing floods, as the lower Volta is. But the complaints are that because VRA had to do the necessary spilling, so most people think that it is VRA that has caused the floods downstream, to the extent that we are not even minding those people at the upstream. There are regulations, to live by the sides of the river. We have what we call the 280 feet contour, that is upstream. That defines the area that will be inundated if we operate at full supply level of the reservoir. And that is the more reason why that buffer is created around the 280 contour. Because there's a likelihood that if we have rains like this, all those areas will be inundated. It's rather unfortunate that we have people caught in these floods. But VRA is also sending some relief items to the north as well. However, the lower Volta has taken the center stage. That is why probably you haven't heard anything about VRA's efforts, in the north. As we are speaking now, the NADMO Director General and other crew, supported by VRA, are up north and assessing the situation with the flooding upstream. We are talking about the role of the Interministerial Committee. The Interministerial Committee is actually coordinating all these efforts and then bringing on the various players, government arms, to support in what is happening. Earlier on, someone asked a question about whether those who are affected now will be relocated, etc. The Ministerial Committee is charged with looking at planning the rehabilitation of the affected persons in the areas even after the storm. So yes, the Ministerial Committee is playing an oversight role and even looking further, after this emergency, how things will be put in place to forestall future, occurrence. The medical relief items, Dr. T.
I think the question was the amount of, I must say that a lot of medical relief items have been procured for use in the impacted communities. And in fact, a lot of the drugs that Ghana Health Services is actually dispensing has come from those relief items that was procured by VRA. In terms of quantities, I think I cannot, I don't have the numbers here, but there's a whole list of emergency medications that the medical team actually came up with, and all of them had been procured and submitted to the communities. And so that is what the Ghana Health Services is using to actually manage the medical conditions within the impacted communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Tego. So to add to the medical relief effort, we have set up mobile clinics at the impacted areas and some station clinics at the safe havens. The distribution, also focused on possible outbreak of cholera and other waterborne diseases, which is specific to the situation that we are facing. And together with the Ghana Health Services, recommended list of medications have been sent to all the various areas. So to the third question, whether VRA failed in its job or whether VRA slept at the switch. I don't think so. And if you listen carefully to the press briefing, which I read out, this event was quite unavoidable. And you would bear with me that prediction of weather is not an exact science. You could have an idea of what would happen, but in the midst of the event, that is when it will unfold to reality. VRA has a mandate to keep the water level up to safe levels, beyond which we stand the risk of dam break, which is an unimaginable event. That worst case, if VRA allows it to happen, it means that the impact would be far greater than what we have seen. So I'll say that VRA acted in right sense. We took all the necessary steps to make sure that the dam was not compromised. And we had all the emergency preparedness protocols in place to forewarn the potentially affected persons before the spill event started. And I can only say that that is why we have not even recorded any casualties. Of course, some of the properties, you couldn't move them. So we can see that some properties are flooded, but then no life is lost because the potential affected persons had enough time to move away from the dangerous places. So VRA did not sleep on duty. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Deputy Chief Executive in charge of services, Engineer Kenata, thank you so much for providing responses to the media. I believe that we are satisfied because no more questions. And on that note, I want to thank you all for coming, especially for those of you who we invited you at a short notice, but you managed to be here. Thank you so much. And God bless us all. Thank you.
So the Volta River Authority there updating us on the next steps, and fortunately no life has been lost as of now, given the official accounts of the Volta River Authority. I will continue to watch the space and then update you on all of the happenings